What caused dozens of police officers to shut down a street in Miami on New Year's Day? Have you ever felt a disconnect between an explanation you were given and footage you saw with your eyes? Did rioting teenagers shut down a popular shopping center, or something far more sinister? Today, we test the believability of the Miami Mall incident.
Welcome to Believing the Bizarre,
where we dive into the unknown and the unusual
and tell you whether we find it believable or not.
That's right. It's Tuesday. Okay. This is the second incident. We did the Mojave incident.
Yeah.
And now we're doing the double alliteration to Mojave incident, Miami incident.
Very different places.
If you live in a city with an M or a town or a desert, it's coming for you.
Looking at you, Minnesota.
Okay. I'm going to be blunt, honest, transparent here. And we will get to the meat of the episode ASAP, I promise.
Except for you, because you're vegetarian.
Or the tofu of the
there you
episode,
go.
the tofurkey. This is very different. This is very different from what we normally do, and let me explain.
Very cool.
First of all, we already recorded an episode this week,
Yeah.
a few days ago. It was locked, loaded, ready to go, chilling.
Oh, can I give you a little update on that, though?
On the episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because we had that little incident in the episode with the sound click and the visual.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I talked to my friend Kat about that. And
well, you better just say what it is now. You're alluding to it, but you should just say
well, it seemed as though there was some kind of paranormal incident in the studio.
We both heard something.
It was like an audible click.
I saw it looked like if it was like a little, like a pinky nail of dust.
Yeah.
Just kind of swooped down in front of my phone, which is what I used to.
And then vanished.
Yeah, and then it went down into the Roadcaster. It's like, what does this button do?
So I surprised the one button didn't play.
I know. That would have been crazy.
But I texted my friend Kat about it because she's very into crystals. And I was like, what can we do for protection? So I'm going to buy some black something.
Okay.
Some black kind of rock.
Is that what you search Google, black something, and then just hope for the
No, she gave
black
me
something protection? That's a gun, Charlie.
She gave me a name. I can't remember the name of it. I'm going to burn a little bit of, not sage,
just
something
or
else.
have sage?
I hope so. That would be good.
I need that whatever it is in my house. Too,
But apparently we need to actively try to shake off what we talk about after the end of the episodes.
All right, we're just going to play Taylor Swift.
Shake it off.
After every episode.
Yeah, but that was creepy.
Okay.
Anyway, I cut you off.
I actually completely forgot that happened, and that's what we call a tease. We're not in the radio business, but that's teasing. So that whenever the episode we actually recorded, that's not coming out this Tuesday, comes out. Maybe it'll be in the episode, and when you edit, you'll have to let me know.
I think it will be.
Okay, but anyway, so what I'm saying is we already had an episode, but then something happened. I became remarkably interested in something, and it was unexpected. So I was half awake. This is yesterday morning.
Yeah,
half awake. I woke up early. Helped my wife and my son get ready for the day. And I normally go lay down for like another hour or so before I start my job.
Yeah, this is on Friday, right?
Yeah, and I was up too late. We recorded that night. I was up too late, and I was laying in bed, and it's like, when I'm laying in bed on my phone, like I have one eye closed because it's so bright. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I got like one eye open, one eye closed. It's like half brightness, and I'm like doom scrolling Twitter, like 6 something in the morning. And something like instantly... It got me. You know, like when a duck or something breaks out of an egg and it sees you and you're like, that's mama.
Yeah, like it imprints on you.
It did that. It imprinted me because I couldn't get it out of my head.
And the story became mama.
It became this story became mama. And it's different for us. This is like, normally we don't do topical stories. Normally it's like, this happened 60 years ago.
Yeah.
There's published novels not novels. There's published books about this. Mm-hmm. There's multiple sources. There's other podcasts. There's YouTubers. And we have time to gather all these sources and create a cohesive 45 to hour
I mean, you could
episode.
argue sometimes there's too much information. Like when I did the astrology episode, I was like overwhelmed, but yeah. But this is not like that.
This is not like that. We're not very much a topical podcast. And I'm kind of excited about this because I've been telling you that sometimes it feels a little formulaic.
Yeah.
But this is like relying on social media posts, which I really don't like. I don't like. I feel like I'm going to do this episode and then it's going to be like something like you know that's not true. So I need to preface it by saying I know it might not be true. But I'm excited. And also I wanted to get this out early because I told my wife, I was like, damn, by the time I do my next episode, because we rotate, I'm like, this might not even be a thing. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I want to get this done. And it might not even be a thing by Tuesday when this comes out, but I'm excited to talk about it. So let's get into the damn thing. So let's talk about the actual incident as the way you would read about it if you were somebody who got the newspaper.
Okay. Because I did
guess.
see the headline of this, and I was like, that's weird. And I just kind of went past it.
Actually, let me ask you, what did you hear?
Something about...
Okay.
That's all I really know.
Okay. So here's the information from Newsweek. This isn't a quote, but this is paraphrased. So on January 1st, 2024, New Year's Day, police were alerted that something was going down at the Bayside Marketplace in downtown Miami, which for the remainder of this episode, we're just going to call the Miami Mall because that's way easier. I think that's probably what they call it.
Probably.
So around 8:30 p.m., several people outside the mall in apartments nearby buildings called 911 because they reported hearing gunshots. Oh. Which were later explained to be actually the sound of fireworks. Like they were shooting out fireworks.
Gotcha.
Yes. Dozens of police officers rushed to the two-story mall and blocked off access between 2nd and 4th Street. So
two-story mall. That's fancy.
That is awesome. You have one near you, South Park. Well, you used to.
Yeah. That's
South Park. Yeah. South Park Mall was really cool.
Mm-hmm. It was a neat mall. It's still there.
Yeah, I know. So the Miami PD Twitter, and as I'm going to call Bayside Marketplace Miami Mall for the rest of the episode, and I'm going to call X Twitter for the rest of my life. I just need to emphasize that.
Yeah, for sure.
So the Miami PD Twitter posted this message at 10:17 p.m. Quote, "Traffic alert. Due to large crowd of unruly juveniles, we have temporarily closed some lanes on Biscayne Boulevard between 2nd and 4th Streets. Please avoid this area." Unquote.
Okay. So is this like the heart of downtown? Or is this like outside at all?
I know this is it's considered downtown Miami now, but I mean Miami is big. It's not Cleveland. You know, it's I've been there. It's a big downtown, big city. Not a huge city, but it's also an international city. Mm-hmm. So essentially, these New Year Eve hooligans were fighting each other with sticks and shooting fireworks at each other inside this mall.
It's just a good time.
Yeah, it was probably. Feels
like LARP, like almost like role play.
I don't know. Well, but they were apparently kicking some ass. I don't think it was like you're hit, lay down. I think it's you're hit. I don't think you can back up.
I'm gonna keep hitting you.
Yeah, I've been to Miami. I've been to Doral. I don't think Miami Dade County. Oh, yeah, Dade County. I would assume teenagers being dumb and causing trouble in Miami probably isn't too uncommon. And it was reported that 4 teenagers were arrested in connection to this riot. And this is what the Miami police had to say about the event. 2 of the male teenagers, age 15, are facing charges of burglary, third-degree grand theft, violent. The other 2 arrested teens, 14 and 16, were charged with resisting an officer without violence. So the police claim that they ended up escorting 50 juveniles out of the Miami Mall, and they spotted another 15 beating up a driver and ordered them to stop. The teens ran away, but were eventually stopped and apprehended by the police at a parking garage.
Wow.
I have no idea how 15
turns into
kids turns into 4. They're like, well, you guys probably, it was just peer pressure, right? Like, you didn't mean to hit them a bunch of times with that stick and shoot fireworks up their butt.
Wild how many there were.
That's a lot. There'd be a text thread or something.
Oh, yeah.
This is, I'll be transparent again. Because normally it's like, present the story with like a performance based, like I'm going to pull you in to the story. And then at the discussion is where you kind of, I mean, we joked about the Krampus. It's like where you take off take off your tight pants, unbuckle the belt, put on the joggers. And you're like, here's what I really think. I'm going to try and keep it that way the entire way through. Because this is
almost presented as a news story, right?
Yeah, this is something I was trying to grapple with. This isn't, it's unique. So take it for what it is. I would expect, let's say 2 weeks from now, this gets debunked, or a week from now, something comes out. Mm-hmm. The whole story of this episode is what they're telling you versus what people are seeing. That is the theme throughout this episode and the story. And I feel like the world and the way that people view media in this day and age.
Yeah.
I would expect some type of thread, connection, communication to eventually appear in cell phones or social media of this congregation.
Yeah, because so it's like 50 kids, right?
Just causing a ruckus in the mall.
And then they get escorted out. And then do 15 more appear? Or
I don't think it was like a perfect 50 and then a perfect 15. I think it was a group of teens. They probably split up. It's a big mall. So I don't think it was two groups that were coincidentally at the same time.
Okay.
I think it was just a large group of teens that were just, one person starts it and then
this is so fascinating, but also very confusing. I'm super into this.
Well, we haven't even gotten to the strange part.
I know.
I think this is just New Year's Eve Miami. And you got to keep it real. This is Florida.
Yeah,
you know what they say about Florida. And I hope you can take jokes better than Alaska. Like, that's what I'm waiting for. Like, even after the episode drops, I'll be curious to see what content will come out to validate that there were teens in here fighting. And whether it's Snapchats or TikToks from the teens, whether it's journalists who have footage of the fight, whether it's we see text threads of like, hey, remember the mall, 7:30, 8 o'clock, bring your stick. Like that's what I'm waiting to see. And then I'll very clearly, hint at the end of the episode, I would be like, oh, if we director's cut it, I'll be like, oh, believable or unbelievable, like it's clearly.
It's interesting. Bring your stick could have a much different connotation.
Maybe they took sticks from, maybe there's like a Dick's Sporting Goods, Stick Sporting Goods.
Maybe it's like hockey sticks.
Maybe. Oh, that would not be fun.
No.
Better than like Louisville Sluggers. That's not really a stick though. That's that's poor reporting if they call that a stick.
That's my next question. Is there any footage of like these fightings?
I did not see any, but that doesn't mean that I'm trying to I want to reiterate, if no matter what I say in this episode, if tomorrow we see footage of teens fighting, I'm willing to be like, oh, that's what it was then.
Okay.
But I'm hooked. This hooked me in, and so I'm going to talk about it. So that's basically what it is. It's if you read a news article, there are teens, a lot of them, they got sticks, they got fireworks, they're fighting each other. Cops came. And they're like, all right, we got to shut this down. We gotta get these kids out of here. It's New Year's Day. That's what you would read, okay? But obviously, this isn't a crime pod.
Right.
There's more to this story. Let's get into some of the differences of what's reported. Okay. So, like I said, this is going to be a what we're being told versus what eyewitnesses claim that they saw. Right?
Yeah.
So let me say a couple more things about what could validate what actually happened.
Okay.
If they thought a shooting was happening, if they say that there are fireworks and mistaken for guns, people call 911. If it's downtown Miami, it's New Year's Day, and the police hear gunshots in a mall, a shopping mall.
I mean, active shooters are
that's like Call of Duty too, isn't it? Like that's where you go to a mall. I didn't play
the airport,
whatever. Like, I could see the intense retaliation.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
I mean, Miami's also already had a terrible shooting.
Oh, well, yeah.
The Pulse Club.
On top of that, just like on a holiday, I could see an overreaction by police. And I don't even know if it's considered an overreaction. I'm just saying, I'll show you the video of what I saw, and that's actually what grabbed my attention.
Okay.
So that's one. Two, I understand that social media is a toxic echo chamber.
Yes.
There's people on there that won't believe any facts. There's people on there that will believe every conspiracy. There's people on there. Like, it's very black and white. I like living in a gray area. And I understand that there's people that are always going to believe every conspiracy that is tossed out there. And I'm not a fan of that type of thinking. And we've done episodes. We've done 9/11. We've done the moon landing conspiracy. So I'm not one side. All conspiracies are fake. But I'm also not every journalist, government official, police officer is lying to me, and every conspiracy you've ever heard is true.
I think you should question things.
Yes, and I'm completely fine with questioning things. I think you should. But I also just want to emphasize that, like, I'm not advocating that this is all true. I just found it interesting, and I think it's always good to kind of live in that gray area because I don't think there's enough of that out there. And I also just want to, before we get into it more, we do our best to keep politics out of everything, religion for the most part, unless it's explicit to the story.
Yeah.
Because, we do try to be escapism as much as we can in this world. But I think when you start going into conspiracy territory, it lends itself to that passion.
It can now. I think before in the past it wasn't, but now it definitely is.
Yeah. So all that prefacing out of the way, let's get into what some of these discrepancies are. So again, I'm laying in bed. I'm too tired to do anything, but I'm too awake to fall asleep. And I'm just scrolling through, and I see this video of all these police cars. And I'm like, whoa, what went down here? And then I see it was teens in a mall fighting with sticks. And before I was influenced or biased by reading any of the comments or even anything that you heard recently, just this red flag kind of went in my head, like that feeling where you're like, this doesn't make sense. Like, this doesn't add up. Like, why is this so intense? And I didn't hear anything about it, like it being a potential shooting or anything like that. So that kind of clarifies that. But even so, I'm scrolling through. I'm like, this is kind of crazy. The amount of cop cars that were surrounding this mall and clogging up the streets was insane. Like, it would have been the perfect night for literally any other criminal to do anything else anywhere in Miami.
Because they're all there.
Yeah. And
wow.
And I'm watching videos on like people posting videos on social media, looking down at all these cops and kind of surveying the area. And kind of the common sentiment among all of them were, this is the largest police response I've ever seen.
Wow.
Just absolutely. And we haven't even hit paranormal conspiracy yet. This is just people who live there, who claim to live in Miami for decades. And yes, I'm trusting the things that people are posting on Twitter. And they're saying that this teen causing riot in the mall is causing the largest collection of police officers that they've ever seen. And just absolute, in their mind, overkill. So I want to show you really quick a little bit of the video that I was seeing and what kind of caught my attention. Okay. All right, I just showed Charlie the video, or one of the videos that I saw in my state of kind of half awake.
6 a.m.
What are your thoughts on that?
There's a lot of police cars. At first, I was like, "There's not that many," and then it like pulled out, and like they were like encompassing the entire mall, and then some. I was like, "Oh man, there's like one cop for every kid."
Yeah,
and I was like, "No, there's more than one cop for every kid."
Right.
That's like 3 to 1. It's crazy.
And so, I'm sure more details will emerge over time. But when you're watching that, you see that video, and then you hear teens with sticks. You know, it's just kind of like,
it seems a little underwhelming.
Overwhelming. Well, overwhelming response
for such a, I don't want to say minimal situation, but also, how are people interpreting the stick thing? Because stick is also a term for guns.
Well, I think that part of why it blew up on social media, even though I don't think it might be widely reported or more common knowledge by Tuesday. It was like I had to like search, and that was one of the things people talk about is kind of the lack of reporting about it. But I think it's the more details you find out, the more you're like, oh, like at first I saw that video and it was like teens with sticks, and you see that response. But then when you start thinking, if they thought there was a shooting and they heard there were 60 some kids, and it's like, okay, I still think that's a lot.
Yeah,
like,
but no, I get that almost.
It's just, I mean, the video of them coming down the highway and just it is insane. So again, I can't properly confirm these next reports. I'm telling you, they're firsthand comments.
Sorry, who is like, everyone turn on your siren?
Go. There's like one guy who's just been waiting for it for like years. He's like, all right, 3, 2, and they go on 1. He's like, God damn.
Yeah. But my point was there's a lot of sirens.
Oh yeah, like it had to be. I mean,
everyone turn on their siren.
It's so loud.
I think we get it.
That's true. I guess you can have your lights on without the sirens on.
Yeah.
Huh? So here is other comments that I saw about what was happening that night based on social media, other than what you saw. Okay. 1, neighborhoods and blocks had their power cut off.
Oh my God.
Just power shut off for blocks. No great explanation, just electricity, done. I have not seen that confirmed by a news outlet, but that was a common thing that was being said.
Okay.
2, unmarked black helicopters circling the mall and flying around the sky.
Ooh, that's the men in black shit.
Yeah. I didn't see any in the videos. Again, this is all comments that are being posted, but a lot of people are saying that they were seeing these, and it wasn't like the helicopters in like GTA when you got more than 3 stars that are shining a spotlight on you. Like no spotlight, just these helicopters
black
in the
helicopters.
area. Yes.
That's scary.
3, it was reported that the airspace surrounding the mall was shut down. There was no air traffic allowed over this mall at that time.
That's interesting.
Could that be because the helicopters? Because the flight traffic and, because I've been to Doral and in Miami, but like the amount of low helicopters you see there from like the airport nearby is kind of insane.
Are there
in a cool
lot?
way. Yeah. It was like every 5 minutes or less. It was cool. Also, because people are trying to, I've never done this. I don't know if you've ever done this. I know you had an app for it in Cleveland or something like that.
Oh, the Citizen app?
Yeah. Maybe when all the sirens were coming, people wanted to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
People were reporting that the police scanners were completely shut off.
What?
Yeah.
What?
That's what was reported.
That's crazy.
By people, social media people, not
how
me.
are the police communicating? Because that's how they talk.
Text.
Maybe.
So,
LOL,
they
come
didn't
get
need
the
to
kids.
text. It's like when all your friends are at a party and you're like, put your phone down because who's going to talk to you?
Maybe.
They were all there. They just had to accept if someone else gets robbed, that's on them tonight. Happy New Year.
That's crazy. That is the wildest thing that you said so far. The police scanners were off.
Yes, apparently. So they say. So, quick recap. This is what we're told. Bunch of rioting teenagers in the mall. Dozens of cops show up to the scene, apprehend some of the teens, fighting with sticks, shooting off fireworks. What people are seeing, unnecessary amount of police officers, shutting down streets, areas without power, black helicopters, and the scanners turned off.
And this was literally 6 days ago.
This was the first. Was that Monday?
Yeah. No. Yeah, Monday.
Monday. So this happened Monday night of last we'd a day before we'd have been really on it if we would have posted this last Tuesday.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's get to the strange. This is where things get bonkers
You
and
look
creepy.
so happy. You're just smiling ear to ear.
So there was a growing wave of people when this was getting posted, and this wasn't like it felt. I mean, Twitter just it's so tough presenting the story, but also backtracking on everything. I don't know if this is frustrating to listen to for people because I'm presenting and then backtracking. I'm trying to awkwardly separate myself from the story, but present the story.
I think it's just the way that it's coming out right now and just the way that the information is presented.
It's also the way I feel about conspiracy.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm putting my name on this. I need to, I don't want people like, Tyler's crazy. But you know how I feel about aliens. So there was a lot of people that were like, I don't think those are actually fireworks. I think those might have been gunshots, but I don't think there were any teens. We didn't see any teens. We think those were gunshots. And what were they shooting at? So there are people claiming that they witnessed 8 to 10 foot tall, gray, shadowy entities scurrying around the Miami Mall. And I got to say, when you imagine that someone reported an unknown, unrecognizable, eerily tall creature in the downtown Miami area near the mall, the overabundance of police cars, the helicopters, shutting down the street, the power off, no fly zone, seems to be a little bit more of an adequate response than the teens brawling.
It's like a movie. Also, the teens are a really good cover, too, because I don't think newspapers are allowed to report like details about minors. So
I have no idea about that. I have no idea. They didn't add names, by the way. I don't know if you noticed. I said the ages and the gender, but I didn't say
right, because I don't think they're allowed to give that detail out.
Their friends will get it out. They know that. They're like, it'll be on Snapchat. It'll be on TikTok.
Well, it would be interesting to see if it ever does come out.
I almost could see them doing it just to kind of combat this.
We'll see.
So I have a video. It's not great, but I do have a video that I want to show you that somebody is perpetuating as filming one of these tall entities.
Oh my God.
All right, I just showed Charlie the video. I think it is a disservice. I think Apple, Samsung, I think we should all get together and just agree, like, they probably have like the next 10 phones already planned for the next 20 years. Can we just like get the best camera now? Like there's too many paranormal stories out there, and to have these potatoes filming it.
I could have been on a lower generation just because,
that's true.
They're out doesn't mean they have the latest phone.
The cost of living in Miami, probably you got to have that cheaper
iPhone
phone.
8.
So what are your thoughts on that video?
So it's almost like fog, right?
Yeah, shadowy, like it's misty or
like
foggy.
It's like this whole area is like almost fogged up, like some kind of cover. And then you see this thing kind of walking through it. It seems huge.
It seems large.
Shadowy is not almost the right word for it. It's like almost ethereal.
That's a good way of putting it.
It's like almost using the fog to stay hidden. But you can see like the fog moving around it. I don't know. It's creepy.
Are you sure that it was a moving thing? Is there any chance it was like light? Because that was my concern. Like, I can see what people are saying where it looks like a giant thing. Like, it's it's outside the mall. It's the same type of video that you'd see of people filming all the cops coming in. So all these cop cars are right. And that's your frame of reference is you're looking at this thing compared to a cop car, a vehicle. And it's definitely big. But is there a chance that it could have been light? Like other cars driving by. I mean, and then you see light moving with it.
Yeah. So I was going to say, so in my head, like you can almost see like the arms move, but you're right though, because the way light changes, things move. But you said they blocked off the road, right? Yeah.
There are other cop cars, around, and there are other light sources. I don't know. I think it's worthy of including. It's worthy of looking at, but also it's not like the Colorado Bigfoot we saw in that.
It's not the nail in the coffin.
No, but interesting. But also, it didn't seem like there was a reaction to it. But maybe they didn't see it.
The police?
Yeah, I don't.
Maybe they weren't in the cars. Maybe they're all. I don't know.
Like, when do we turn our sirens off? Everyone get together. Everyone get together. All right, so let's get into some theories as what these entities could be.
Okay. Can I just ask? So the idea is that there were no kids, right? That there are no kids and it was just these entities.
There may have been kids at one point, but I think what the theory is that people saw these things in the mall or near the mall, and then they ran away. And there probably were teens, because I feel like teens go to
in
malls.
The mall, yeah.
And maybe that caused the scene of unruly teens or teens causing havoc.
Okay.
When really it was people.
So they're running from these entities.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's kind of the theory. Because somebody would have had to alert somebody that these things existed. I don't think, somebody had to let the cops know that there were these entities, if that's what actually happened.
Yeah. Man, it sounds like a movie.
It really does. I think it's just, it's very gripping. So the first theory is what these could be, as we've kind of already alluded to, are these aliens. I feel like it's in the air. I feel like for the last 3 years since the documents got out.
It's palpable.
And this is so on brand for us. They released all those UFO case files, didn't talk about it. And then there's aliens at this mall and we're like, we got to jump on this. This is we're being journalists right now. Not really. I'm not. I feel like it's an insult to journalists by saying that. This is entertainment. But would you agree that aliens seem to be, there's even memes of people expecting aliens and they're like, man, I got a lot going on right now.
Yeah, no, it does seem like.
Have you seen these housing interest rates?
This is almost escalation, right? It's almost like the government is building and building and building to something that could happen.
Yeah.
Because they know something might happen. This might be that thing. But it's interesting they would still cover it at this point.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, it still just comes down to the intense reaction by the police and just how many. And maybe I'm massively undervaluing or underserving how many police Miami has. But it's not me.
It's a whole lot.
I watched the video and I came to that conclusion, but at the same time, this is what people are saying. Miami residents are like, whoa. So, but not only is it makes sense if it is a tall entity that seems strange that it could be an alien, but there was one user on IG, and I think I'm going to try and reach out to them to see if we can get a quote or something. I'll leave it anonymous for now. She claimed earlier that night, so it gets dark at 6 now?
Yeah.
So probably sometime between 5 and 7. I don't know for sure. And if I get any word, I'll definitely post about it. I'll post on our social media if we get permission. Let me put it that way. Claimed to see a UFO flying around in the sky. And I'm going to show you now, Charlie, what I saw.
Oh.
My only concern is reflection. Have you seen, go ahead, you can grab that. Have you seen the UFOs that people post on, and I think they don't believe it's UFO, it's a fake. It's people trying to trick you. But sometimes it'll be the window glass will reflect their chandelier, a circular chandelier. So it looks like it's in the sky, but really you're just seeing a faint reflection of what's in the apartment.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Does that look like it could be a reflection of something inside, or does that definitely look like it's up? She uber zoomed in on it. So it was trying to really emphasize, I don't know what this is.
It's hard. It's hard to definitively say yes or no. I don't know.
That's the thing about this that's so interesting, though, is like in real time, you're getting people that are like, hey, by the way, yeah, I know this thing happened that night, but a little bit earlier, I saw this thing flying around the sky. Like, what? Do you have credibility to that at all?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's almost like two lights. One's a little bit bigger than the other. Yeah, I would give it some credibility. Especially connected to what's going on. I think it could very well be connected.
Yeah. So there's aliens. That's kind of the wide theory. That's what people are joking about.
Yeah.
I've already started to see, even this morning, I started seeing memes. And that's when I kind of knew there was some urgency with it in terms of it getting a little bit bigger is there's these guys. I can't think, I hate that I can't remember his name. It's like Super something. It's like a group of 6 friends. And they became really famous to me because they used to do skits where it was like the Cavs locker room after they lost this. They would wait for a game to happen, watch it, and then they would mock the people. So like the main guy would be LeBron, and then he would like chew out his teammates, and they were hilarious skits. And they blew up. Maybe you've seen the Amber Alert one. It's like this is what they expect from you when an Amber Alert happens, and they all run outside.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Those guys, like they've gotten so famous. He met LeBron James.
Wow.
Like they actually got to meet him, which is awesome for them. I think they're hilarious. But even they've got one now where it's like the aliens that came to Miami and they're like making fun of what he's wearing and stuff like that. And it's like, so it feels like it's starting to pick up steam. So the alien aspect is definitely the most popular. Here's another one that I thought was interesting. I'm not knowledgeable enough to speak on it intelligently, but I'm still going to talk about it. Giants. Yeah. And I think this is more on the spiritual side of things. I'm not trying to put any words in anyone's mouths, but there are a group of people that I saw on social media that think that the mall was being terrorized by the Nephilim.
Oh,
yeah,
that's half angel, half half humans.
Yeah, I'll try. If I butcher this, I swear to God, I'm sorry. I watched a couple of video sources about it. So there are people where it's believed in the book of Enoch in 200 BC that before the flood, angelic beings populated with human women.
Yeah. And
they gave birth to these giants, the Nephilim.
Yeah.
So a lot of the videos that I was watching about this, they were more religious based. And the idea that we're seeing changes in the world, there are things happening, whether it's like forest fires, COVID, earthquakes, natural disaster things, that as things are coming to an end, last time before the flood, giants started appearing. As things get crazier, are these tall entities that we're seeing a sign that, it's kind of cycling through again?
I mean, there's always doomsayers.
Yes, there are.
And they'll take anything to, push that narrative.
It's very interesting because I'm not a religious person, but when I see someone with conviction talking about it, it does hit me in a way. Like I was watching this guy and I wish I could remember his YouTube. This is very poor reporting on my part. This is why I'm not a journalist. But it was just kind of like he watched the videos. He shared the police videos, and he talked a little bit about the Nephilim in a TikTok video that we might play for you here on here. But it's just kind of like he ended with like, you got to get right with the Lord. And it's like, if you're not right with it, what other signs are you looking for? And I'm being very honest, very transparent with you guys. Like, I'm not a religious person. But then it's like in that moment, it's like I'm groggy and I'm just like,
oh,
damn.
Guess I'll go to church tomorrow.
Yeah, like it's so those are the two entities as to what people are explaining these things could be from two different kind of sectors of people.
I was going to ask you, do you have any other theories?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what do you want to ask? It's not an entity, so if you have a theory, you can, or if you have something you want to mention about these two.
Something I maybe think of instantly.
Yeah.
Was there's these shadow entities in California.
They're coastal. It's either California or Miami.
They are specifically only known in California, so I don't think this necessarily fits. They're called the Watchers. I think we've mentioned them before. I think on Patreon.
Yeah.
But they're giant entities that are shadow that are known to watch hikers in the valleys, in the hills. I wonder if this could have any kind of connection to the Watchers, because I'm gonna be real, they scare me.
I remember you saying that they really scared you.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Maybe there's an REI in the Miami Mall, and they were just these hikers. They're like, man, they really need this, and they went to go pick some up so they could drop them for hikers.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know.
It's probably not true.
I don't know if there's any connection though.
We need to do an episode on. You need to do it. Like the way you're passionate about it. You really should do it. No pressure. But I think that'd be a fun episode.
I am looking for my next topic.
So here is a non-entity based yet very conspiratorial. So. I don't want to go into this too much, and not because there's a CIA agent behind me holding a gun in my head. I'm just not as and it's not that I don't, and it's not that I don't think that there's any chance this could be real. It's just I'm not as educated as a lot of other people are on this, and I hate talking about things that I'm not up to date on. Like it's a big reason. I think it's why public speaking. Like I don't mind. Like if you know, like you think of a job where you have to do a Zoom call or a meeting or you have to lead a presentation.
Yeah.
If somebody asks me to do a presentation on something I know, don't get stressed. Don't freak out. I'm completely cool with it. I can't speak for everyone. It's the idea. I hate when people talk about things that they don't know. And if I hate it, why would I want to do it?
Because it's cringe. It's cringy. And that's like part of the reason why I think public speaking is such a big fear. Is because it's not the fear of speaking publicly, it's the fear of looking stupid.
Yes. And it's also why you and I do as much research as we can. And even so, it's like we have to learn a new topic every week. So that's why we're not a 4-hour deep dive podcast. We would never see our family.
Right.
Like, and I'm not saying it couldn't be done because there are other podcasts that are longer, but there's always that fear of like getting a detail wrong or being completely incorrect. We've all been there. I mean, we're almost 200 episodes in. We've said wrong things. It's going to happen.
Absolutely.
We don't condone it. We don't say that it's good.
No, the stuff happens.
But this is one where it's like, you've heard about it. I just don't. People are saying that this is all just a big distraction because of Epstein's list coming out.
Oh. Yeah.
That the whole it's the magician look here, not there. It's the government. And all these people in power are going to do anything possible to distract us, create headlines, make us think about anything else besides Epstein's list coming out because they don't want it to be revealed who's on it.
Let me bust out the new stealth mech that they're not going to know.
Like the shadowy gray aliens. Where? Miami.
Well, here's the thing, though. I feel like if that was the case, it'd be more widely reported on.
That's a good point. Maybe they're like, journalists, come on, do your job.
Exactly. But that list is pretty interesting.
But also, who are the people talking? I feel like the people that are really into uncovering Epstein's list are the same people who probably were on pulse with this Miami encounter.
That's true.
Because there's a lot of other people. I mean, we're guilty. Joe Flacco is killing it.
Absolutely.
These housing prices are insane. Other things that aren't just United States specific happening in the world, you know?
Well, that's the thing, though. Those things are more relevant to our lives.
Yeah. Also, and it's like, but that's not to say, you know, do I think Epstein killed himself? I think there's a good chance not. You know, do I think that there could be very powerful people that are on his list and were his clients? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
heard the list. I saw the list.
The whole list?
Not the whole list. I've big
seen,
names.
Yeah, I've seen a collection of the list, and there's people on it where you're like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people where you're like, man, I hope that maybe they didn't know. Like there was Noam
Chomsky on the list.
Yeah. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson went. Oh. And that was kind of like, why? But then it's like Stephen Hawking was on it.
Yeah.
So they're saying that he held some type of astronomer event there. And so it's like parsing through. But also it's like when you see stuff about like Bill Clinton, you're like, I know there's people that take it on themselves as a mission to make sure it stays in the collective conscious where it's like, hey, yeah, by the way, Epstein didn't kill himself.
That's true.
By the way, this list. And I think that's fine. I hate the idea that these powerful people are hiding this list of, you know, and it's just for the people that have influence in the world.
For the Illuminati.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that people are thinking that there's a chance that this whole thing is just being blown up. And maybe they wanted it to be blown up. Maybe it hasn't blown up the way they wanted to. Although, like I said, I'm starting to see skits about it and things talking about it.
Yeah.
So maybe it is kind of overshadowing. But I think the idea is that this is just one thing.
Yeah.
Like this isn't supposed to make you forget about the list. This is one of the things that is yet to come or have been happening to make you forget about this and move on. Like how long ago does the submarine thing feel like? And I hate to say the submarine thing because it is tragic.
Yeah.
But it's just like
the Ocean Gate.
There's always these things that happen for like 2 or 3 weeks and it just kind of takes over everything. Something non-paranormal that I kind of want to mention really quick, but still worth discussing. What if it wasn't paranormal? What if it wasn't teenagers? What if it was something worse? Like bomb threat, chemical exposure.
Oh.
Like what if it was something like whether it was like sinister and that somebody was trying to kill a lot of people in Miami, or it was just an accident. Like, what if they're hiding what really happened? It wasn't these entities. Like, they're probably okay with it. Like, oh, that's easy to disprove. Let them think it's entities. We can easily kill that. It's better they think that there's these entities that'll get shut down by realists rather than them know actually why we thought this was a, citywide emergency.
That also sounds like a movie. Yeah.
And I feel, but also, like, bomb threats come out. So I don't think...
I don't think a bomb threat.
I can't create what the urgency may have been. But the idea is that it was something that could have been catastrophic for Miami that required all this force.
Yeah.
And we just don't know what it is.
Because they contained it.
Because they contained it, hopefully. Yeah. I think that's, yeah.
I think that could be a very real possibility. I hope. I feel like if it was that, though, the news always takes the worst angle it could.
Yeah.
So I think they would take that and run with that if they could, if they knew about it.
You know what another theory is?
What's up?
That it was just kids going crazy. And
I don't think that's true at all.
You don't think there's any chance that it was just teens fighting and it was an over-response because they thought there were gunshots and it was New Year's Day? I still think that's a possibility. It's just when I saw the cop cars, I was like, damn. And the people in the comments were like, damn.
I don't think you need the whole city there.
Okay. Well, that is our episode on the Miami Mall incident, on the very chaotic New Year's Day in Miami. Let's get to the discussion. All right, before we get to the discussion, we like to stop the episode and thank our newest patrons who, as of the recording of this episode, include Gambit, Chase, Tatiana, and Julio.
Gambit was one of my favorite X-Men characters.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
I don't know who that is.
He had these magic cards, or his power was to like make these cards explosives. He was awesome.
Listen, I see these Instagram videos of magicians explaining how to do card tricks, and even when they break it down step by step, I try to do it and it never works.
That shit is witchcraft.
I either got dumb hands, I don't know, I just can't do it. And they it's so simple. You just do this.
Yeah.
But you know what you can do is if you like the podcast and you want to be like Gambit, Chase, Tatiana, and Julio, you can join Patreon. There's so much extra stuff. Charlie, what is one thing from our Patreon that you would like to highlight?
We just recorded it tonight. At the end of every month, we go back and we discuss these posts that we put on Instagram, and we call it our social media response because we get feedback from everybody on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. And we read your responses to these questions that our producer Ben puts out. Great questions. Stuff like, which Santa Claus would be the best one to fight Krampus?
Yeah. Thought-provoking.
I love it. It always provokes good conversations between us. They're always funny. There's rants. It's such a fun time. I love it.
I also want to reiterate, or I also want to point out on that thought, like, we're not purposefully ignoring your comments. There's a reason why we don't comment.
Yeah.
Because we don't look at them until that segment.
That's true.
So if you're wondering, like, why doesn't BTB ever respond to anybody's things in here? Maybe Ben does. I don't know.
Ben does sometimes.
But the reason we don't do that is because we don't want to know them or be cognizant of them until we do that segment. Because we want it to be more in the moment thoughts.
It's weird because we use like our Instagram and that's just one post we never really look at.
Yeah.
Like we just kind of fly by.
We know there's good comments because we hear about them and we respond to them in the segment. So you people that are commenting on it, we are probably responding directly to you.
Absolutely.
You just have to be on Patreon to hear it.
Yes, true.
What I'd like to point out is it's low-key. I love it. It takes a lot of setup, but it's so much fun. BTB reacts to.
Oh, yeah.
So we just find these short little horror clips, these indie films. They're like 10-minute clips, which it's a lot of work into it. I don't want to make it seem like it's nothing. But it's one of our few video formats where we're on screen and we're watching it and you get to see our reactions in real time. It's cool because we're watching art, creative horror art that we otherwise probably wouldn't see unless it was like a
That's what I like a lot.
It's like a rabbit hole where on like a Friday night, it's midnight and next thing you know it's 3 a.m. You're like, I've watched 19 of these in a row. And but it's cool because it's stuff I wouldn't normally watch, but
They're
really
captivating
enjoy.
too. Like the one we just watched was we both cringed real hard at the same moment.
Yeah. And it was like animated.
Yeah.
It's cool because it's good horror art that, is kind of hidden in a way if you're not looking for it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. But there's so much more stuff out there on Patreon. Quizzes, games, behind the scenes content, merch. New pin is coming out soon. But with that said, let's get back to the main episode. Okay, so that's the episode. And I acknowledge, we are a paranormal entertainment first podcast. It's a story I was sucked into.
Yeah.
There's a very good likelihood that nothing sinister or strange happened at all. In fact, just to kind of double check, we looked and it wasn't perfectly clear where it was happening, but we did find some news footage of teens fighting.
They were putting in work.
There's some ass kicking happening.
Yeah.
It's like the Warriors. So all of that said, there's the police response, the video of that, people potentially filming an entity, the potential UFO in the sky, whether it was the giants or aliens or a bigger threat. What are your thoughts? And I've collected them throughout the episode.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on all of this stuff going down?
So let me just start off by saying, just because there are some videos of kids fighting outside of the mall does not mean that something strange did not happen inside the mall. I think there's enough evidence correlated with the police response, with the video of the entity thing walking in the smoke, if you don't think it's just lights, which I think there is mass there as well. And the fact that someone might have seen a UFO right before this incident occurred, I think there's a lot of coincidences that add up to something beyond humans, something strange happening.
What if someone was like, hey, somebody's in the mall, Old Navy, great deal.
Mm-hmm.
And they're leaving and they see like 50 kids fighting and they start fast walking away because you don't want to make eye contact with these kids. And then they hear a bang.
Yeah.
And then they call a cop. Or there's mall cops in there, Paul Blart. But let's just say this person calls a cop. Hey, there were like 50, 60, I don't know how many kids in here. They were all fighting. They were causing havoc, and I heard a gunshot. Is there any chance that would validate on New Year's Day celebrations? There's probably cops on alert regardless because there's so much drinking and stuff still. I don't know what other festivals might be happening in Miami. It's an international city. Is there any chance that scenario, that very non-paranormal scenario, could have caused all those police officers?
That's a very real, very scary scenario.
It's still terrifying.
I do think it would qualify a lot of police response. I don't know if it would qualify that much for police response. I'm not a student of the law. I don't know the laws of Miami. I don't know how the response would actually be. I don't know if it would qualify the whole city because it seems like it was the whole city.
And in your defense in that, and mine for my mind kind of blowing up when I saw it, is there were people commenting saying that this is more than expected. Even if they didn't know the full extent, it's like this is an insane amount of response.
I don't know if anyone reported seeing any kind of like SWAT unit response or anything like that.
Not that I read or saw.
But I feel like they would probably have some kind of SWAT response as well. I think that even if there is a lot of activity going on, I think it could be in response to something. I mean, we don't really know. We weren't there.
Yeah.
I wish I could have been there to see something like that. That would have been amazing. I wonder if we'll get some testimony of people inside that will come out and say, like, we saw this entity. We saw something.
I feel like in 2 weeks from now, there's either going to be much more user-generated footage of either weird things or more teen-generated footage of fights that were happening inside the mall. I don't think this is going to be a conspiracy that lasts forever. Like I think this will easily be dispelled by some type of technology, whether it's on the fighting side of teens or, people more clear images of things outside or people who were inside running away. Like I think this will eventually get cleared up. It blew up because that's how social media works. It's like there's the natural distrust of media, which I think is fair.
Yeah.
There's and kind of the underlying what are they really hiding from us? Like what's really happening. So I feel like you have that because for me this is a social media conspiracy.
Yeah.
Like this is all talked about, discussed online. I mean, I don't live in Miami. Like this could be perpetuating throughout the city right now. I mean, coffee shops, bagel shops, people could be like, yo, did you hear about this? Or what do you think happened? Like there's probably like in Miami, this could be a huge thing. And I just, we're in Ohio. We don't know. So for me, it's on Twitter or I'm sure the TikTok, we TikTok videos about it. I think people naturally go it was this. And the people that like the conspiracies and the paranormal like us are going to dive into that. It was such a massive, massive response. But I think we'll get to the bottom of it eventually on what really happened. And I do think it's possible that it could have just been teens if they thought there was a shooting, which I originally didn't know when I watched the video. But it's just crazy how it's not like, I don't think it was kids fighting. I think it was something else. Like, it's not that. It's not just this generic something else. Like, it literally has its own life as, it wasn't kids fighting. It was these 8 to 10 foot tall creatures that was causing this panic, that caused the power to go down, that made it a no-fly zone, that had these helicopters, that made them shut down the street, that made seemingly every police officer in Miami shut down and come to this area. And it's just getting these grainy footage from people in these these skyscrapers.
Well, I do want to say that there are 4 coincidences that made me think like this is more than just what it appears to be with the kids. They shut down the street. There are helicopters reported around the city that are black helicopters, men in black shit, honestly.
Yeah.
They shut down the police scanners. There was no communication with police scanners. Reportedly. Allegedly.
Allegedly. That's the word I should have been using the whole episode.
But it seems as though they didn't want something to get out.
Yes.
Because they didn't want the public there. They got all the public out. And they couldn't help the people in the apartment buildings that lived there to record.
Shut your windows.
Yeah, exactly.
Put the blinds down.
They wanted this isolated. Whether it's because of these entities or I wonder if they captured one. What if they captured one?
That'd be crazy. It's a long drive to New Mexico.
Or even what if it was something worse and they don't want to get out?
They just get on like the speaker. They're like, don't you know that Michigan and Alabama are playing? Go watch TV. What are you doing?
Yeah.
On our scale of believable to viable, skeptical, unbelievable. Unbelievable being it was teens. It was teens fighting, causing havoc, and it was maybe an exaggerated response, but it was also a holiday. They thought they were gunshots. That's unbelievable. Believable, there's some spooky conspiratorial stuff going down here.
So I feel comfortable going with, I think there's something crazy going on. I gotta go believable.
You're going believable?
Believable.
Yo. Wow.
I'm willing to be proven wrong, obviously. But
I can see the stats. I know we have listeners in Miami. Now, you got to give us a grace period. But this is not coming out on, the episode is coming out on Tuesday. This is being recorded prior to Tuesday. So there's footage, content that could come out where you might be like, why are these idiots talking about it like there's any chance it was aliens? Because maybe we didn't see what you're talking about yet.
It could be.
I'll be honest. I was in my head viable that it was something paranormal or conspiratorial or something else going on here. And then we watched that video of those teens fighting. And even though it wasn't like I couldn't see the Bass Pro Shop in the background, it didn't perfectly look like inside the mall. It's got me feeling
I think that was a street. I think it was outside of the mall. And then hold on though, because they're taking advantage of the situation with the cops.
I definitely am not going unbelievable. Like I think there's definitely a chance. There's too much going on. I'm shocked you and believe. I'm going to go skeptical.
Okay.
Skeptical, but definitely interested to find out from more firsthand sources that aren't just trying to be interesting on Twitter.
I hope we get someone who's like, I was in the mall.
Oh my God.
It was terrifying. I want that.
Hit us up, please. We will. I mean, we don't normally do follow-ups, but if we get enough response and it's not like, I was teens. If we get enough response, we will absolutely do a follow-up, even if it's a bonus Friday episode or something. So if you're in Miami and you know something, or you think you know something, hit us up. So that is our episode on the Miami Mall incident. Charlie,
what a fun episode.
Thank you for being flexible. I literally called him and was like, hey, I know we have this thing going on tomorrow. Can you show up 2 hours earlier?
Yeah, I was like half asleep. I was like, what's up?
I'm kind of excited though, because you have a vacation coming up.
Yeah.
And we were already planning like when are we going to double record?
We were.
So it's kind of nice to have one in the bag.
That's cool. Yeah.
But it was fun.
And your other episode you did on Thursday was really good too.
This is like back to I got a bunch of these done. But just can you imagine just like half asleep, doom scrolling Twitter? I'm expecting just to see Joe Flacco updates, things like that. And then I just see all these cops. I'm like, well, that's crazy. And then it just and then it turned into like, instead of like for me, it used to always be YouTube rabbit holes.
Yeah.
But this was a Twitter rabbit hole and just all the different things people are saying. And I really did feel like in that groggy state, I was overly impressionable.
This wasn't just X. This was X, Y, and Z.
It was crazy, but it also feels good to talk about something relevant.
Yeah, this is timely.
I know.
We don't often do this.
No, we don't. And it feels weird doing it, but it feels fresh. This feels like a fresh episode.
Oh, yeah.
Like those,
we just got this one.
The cookies just came out of the oven.
This is a fresh steak.
We're not taking like something
dry aged
from the back of the fridge.
No.
And it's like, all right, we know other people have talked about it, but here's our take. It's just like, let's go. But we appreciate you for listening. Again, if you are in Miami, from Miami, know someone from Miami, have a third cousin in Miami, and you think you know something about what happened, let us know. I'm genuinely curious.
Probably best place to hit us up is Instagram.
Instagram DMs. I'd rather hear from you than random XYZ Bob _24 on Twitter about what they think happened. But that is also the beauty of social media, is because it gives other, like, as much as it can be skewed and it can be a ground for just people being very nasty to each other, it also gives people the opportunity to report things that, before you didn't know. Like, it was all the media. And, it's kind of like now we have a voice too, which is cool when done well.
And if you like this episode, and you want to go ahead and tell us, I like this timely episode, go to Spotify. You can comment on this episode, and we appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. And if you like this episode, this type of content, you're all caught up on the podcast. You won't be able to hear the one we already recorded until it comes out. But we do have so much extra bonus content on Patreon. Quizzes, we watch movies together, Google Hangouts. You can get hoodie, T-shirt, enamel pin coming up for 2024, behind the scenes. A scary story, like horror encounters.
Bunch of stuff coming on.
So much stuff going on Patreon. So if you're interested, that is there. But thank you for dealing with us on this more unusual episode, but very fun. We appreciate you as always. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Charlie.
And catch us next week on Believing the Bizarre,
a podcast as bizarre as you are.